Flexy Studio.
Here with the legend, the man himself, one of the most influential lockers of all time, Mr. Loose Caboose. Manuel, sir, thank you for joining me. It is a honor, a pleasure to have you here. I mean, the last time I saw you was in 2003 at Freestyle Sessions, but the first time I actually saw you was on a Freestyle Sessions VHS in the 90s, and that's where
Oh,
so many of us first saw you. And you know, everybody knows your name. When it comes to locking, you are right up there with the lockers for all of us.
uh,
We all love you and respect you so much. Thank you. And yeah, like, please,
yeah,
sir.
that's all good, Stuart. But I'm not used to how would you say that? People that say, "Hey, everybody knows me," I mean, I'm just a guy that loves to dance, and I'd like to share what I've learned through the original movement.
Well, you certainly influenced me, and you're still one of the major like whoever when we look to for the dance and the locking. What you brought so much was that real funk, that bounce, and yeah, you changed the dance, man. Like, thank you.
Yeah, that's I had a in the beginning. I started dancing when I was probably in, I don't know, 68. I started, our whole family danced. It was party night at our house in the hood. There's so much on the plate when it comes to locking with me. And I've gotten all this information from being there. It was great to be there to see all these
Wow, you
people.
saw it.
I was probably 16 years old when I started going out on the circuit and dancing in the clubs because the lockers broke up and everybody started going to the nightclubs and contesting, and we weren't out there to just, it wasn't like a battle. It was more like just feeding off each other. Oh, well, here goes Scooby. Wow, I like what he did there. And then here goes Greg and Fluky and Go-Go and just everybody that was there, Peekaboo and a lot of these great pioneers. And I
You
was
know, there's
just
one
wanting
name I wanted to ask you about, sir. Is a Crackerjack. Like that was one name I always heard about so much. Someone from OC called Crackerjack.
Cracker Jack. Well, there was the Funky Bunch, Captain Crunch and the Funky Bunch. There was Dancing Machine. There was actually I did a show with the what are those guys called? Chain Reaction. I was the type of guy that wanted to dance with everyone. And Cracker Jack, I really didn't know him, but we know of each other. But there was it didn't, for some reason with me, it just didn't click. I wanted the source. I wanted the original stuff. I my generation was going too fast. We were just out of control, and I wanted, that's when I met up with Tony Gogo, and then I met Greg, and then we started. It was just something that I wanted to do. If I wanted this, I wanted what they wanted. I didn't want what my generation was, because my generation was just, they skipped the soul dance, they skipped the funky chicken, they skipped the breakdown and the rock steady and all these dances. Those were very important because those dances are the ones that created it. Came right into locking with Don Campbell trying to do those dances. He really, Don was a good pacer. he could pace really well, and he could dance. But the fact of the matter is, he wasn't like a Greg or a Scooby, where they knew how to do those technical soul dances, break down the four corners. But soul dancing is very important to me because that's what I love to do, and the locking is just locking. To me, is just a bunch of locking moves. It's a dance, but you can't dance. You can't just do completely locking. You have to have some Leo walk in there, or some scoobop, or some stop and goes and things like that. You got to mix it up with some robot and that's just what I saw them doing. It was really strange, Stu. It was like to be there, you know, and I was probably 16 years old one time, and I was going to try to get into the 21 club, and I was freaking out, and I was nervous because, oh, I'm not going to be able to get in there. And then who comes out of the door as Fluky Luke came out of the front door, and he told the bouncer, hey, let this little kid in here. He's not going to drink. He just wants to dance. And then Fluky got me into the club, and I had to sign up. As soon as I signed up on the paper, all I saw were all these pioneer names in there. I saw Shab, I saw Scooby, I saw Greg and Rerun and all these. And then I put my name in there, and I was like, oh my goodness, you know, I was nervous, but I actually got in there and did my thing. And I was learning as I was watching them do what they did, you know, even when they were around all the girls around them. And I'm very blessed that I was there to work with the masters, you know, and they brought me in under their wing. And you know, and Greg always said, well, you know why? I told Greg Camelot, why are you want to dance and we need an extra man? And I'm like, well, yeah, sure. You know, I was so thrilled, you know, and it was, and I go, why? And he goes, well, because you know how to show dance, you know how to break down and, you know, do the funky chicken. All those dances were very important. So I learned that from those guys. Because my generation, all they wanted to do was locking moves, lock, you know, and flips and splits and knee drops and dives and all these knee slides and things that we were doing at my generation. We call it blasting. Me and Tony call it, everybody's just blasting. They're just exploding, and you have to feel, there's feeling in there. And it's just, it was just amazing to be part of that, to see it and be in it. Because I was just so into music, you know, and it was just it kept me in check, you know. I could have ended up going the wrong way. But
when it comes to the music, that's what you were teaching me earlier today. You were saying about like that you feel that that what us younger generation and you need to really do is play on different parts of the song. You were saying,
yeah, that's important to me right now at this sort of my life. After 5 decades, you know, you learn things. You never can just say, okay, I'm done, and I what else can I do with locking? But locking, I'm learning different things, and it seems like every 10 years, I've changed in a way of what I love to do and how I feel about it. I see a lot of people today, you know, on the internet. You know, the internet is good, you know, but sometimes when you see dancing and kids locking on it, when they watch the DVDs and the videos, everything is backwards when you look at it. When you're looking at it from on the internet, when they're doing a roll wrist and they point to the right, and there are right-handed lockers and there's left-handed lockers. I always do that in my classes. Who's the lefties? Who's the righties? You know, because I want them to feel their own fluid movement. And today, when I see the kids locking and on the internet or whatever they're doing in shows, I love what they're doing, and I think it's a time for a change. And I've talked to Go-Go about it. Like I told you, I talked to Skeet and Fluky and, you know, people that I always I worked with a lot. And, you know, I tell them that, you know, everybody is dancing to the beat and they're only listening to the beat. And I have to understand that the music that they really like to get funky with is American funk music. And some of these other countries don't know our language. So I understand that they don't know how to completely dance from head to toe. When I mean head to toe is like everybody dances to the beat. And that's what I see today on the internet. And it looks great. I think it's fantastic. No matter, style has nothing to do with anything to me. It's just about the movement and how you want to present your own, you know, feeling. But I see a lot of people just dancing to the beat, and you know, I've heard Tony Basil say the same thing, you know. And I was They don't listen to the lyrics. And how are you beginning? How can you become a superhero? Like Greg Camelot would say, how would you become a superhero if you don't have any character? And character comes from the lyrics of music, not just the beat, because you can't play with the song unless you hear what the song is playing and singing about. It has a message. And as lockers and dancers as we are, we can play with it. And like it says, I want to kiss you all over, that song or something. You can do a knee slide and come up to somebody, and it could be an old man or whatever, a bouncer, and you give them a big kiss, and that's called playing with the music. I've known that there's been a lot of people that have, I've heard people saying, oh, well, Loose Caboose, he's just a clown. I could get serious, when I have to, and but being a character is a gift, for all of us. That I think it's time for people to start using character, and then Flowmaster and other people that I have explained to, Mr. Clean, and I let them know that there's other things than just dancing to the beat. I mean, there's you can't use character as much when you're just listening to instrumental music. But when a song has like James Brown, the lyrics, you don't have to catch every word, but at least play with it a little bit as you can. And that's what I'm trying to bring now today, on when I'm traveling, and stuff. But I mean, there's just so much more to learn, I still learning today, and I've been a little bit of heart shake, and I've been kind of bummed out a little bit, but I know God will keep me going, and he's my strength. And I've had surgeries, 3 surgeries. I've had back surgery in my spine, and I had both of my hips replaced. Titanium and metal and plastic is all in my legs, on the count of doing those butt drops, and I paid for that price, but it was I'm not mad I'm not mad at myself for doing it. A lot of OGs used to tell me, hey, Caboose, let the kids do that. You don't have to slam your body like that anymore, and I just love to entertain, and
couldn't hold it back.
And there's a lot of things, not only that you don't really have to be a great locker or a great, I mean, your technical stuff is good and everything, but entertainment, is everything to me. I like to go out and explode on the audience, and if I can get a smile from them, I'm doing my job. If I don't, sometimes I don't feel good, and sometimes I think I was rushing, or I was going too fast, or I didn't feel it. But sometimes you do feel it. It's up and down with locking. You can have a good day and a bad day, but I was very, very fortunate, and I just think, that I got to work with the originals, and that was the most important thing, and I was so blessed by that. It's more than getting paid, but as long as I can, perform with Greg and Tony and Fluky, and sometimes I did shows with Slim, his group, or Don's group, or everybody puts a group together, and I was always wanting to chase the original movement of it, because I've learned how to soul dance, and soul dancing is very important to just locking moves, because I see a lot of people just doing locking moves. You have to dance in the middle,